report. So let's look at what Duda, our Zelensky neocon puppet, is up to out in Poland. So first off, he is continuing to ramp up his military as he prepares what seems like is building up to this rumored March invasion. He's created a new Eastern Defense Division, which will contain homegrown Crab tanks, newly received Korean K-2 tanks, new U.S.-made M1A1 Abrams, and reconnaissance drones. Belarus National Security Council secretary called out these actions as aggressive policy. I recently watched a show with a journalist that was stationed on the border with Ukraine and Poland. He gave some pretty interesting insight. He said that Poland was already housing 1.2 million Ukrainian refugees, and it was projected to get over 3.8 in the next few weeks. He stated that Poland was not wealthy and the poor were not getting the services that they need due to the refugees, and it was causing a great deal of unrest there. Yes, that seems like the new way of the West. Mark Milley on Tuesday met with the commander of Ukrainian armed forces at an undisclosed location in Poland near the Ukrainian border. Recall this is where Victoria Nuland flew in right before something big was about to go down. So Romania is rapidly becoming this NATO war base. Let's see, we have troops being sent in by the U.S. recently. We have fighter planes being sent in. We have these Soviet weapon factories that have been placed in full operation. And today they sent in some spy planes. So I noticed some user comments out on the web on these recent developments. Sounds like the locals aren't too excited about the developments there. One of them said to send them to Ukraine. We don't want the war here. Defense leaders from around 50 countries and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization will hold talks at Germany's Ramstein Air Base on Friday. So it seems like this meeting will hold the key to whether we push forward to World War III. There is some signs that the U.S. is having some second thoughts here as things continue to develop. As alliances continue to form and weapon production realities are coming to light, the enthusiasm to push forward seems to be diminishing. Of course, the neocons are always on board with the plan no matter what the situation. Some of the EU nations and the NATO chiefs seem just as enthusiastic as ever. So out in Germany, the defense minister was asked to leave their post. They are trying to ramp up their military for war, and she is just not producing. They expected to get a lot more weapons produced for their $100 billion budget. The EU has been urging Germany to send in tanks. We've taken a look at the situation with their armed forces, and it doesn't seem like they can afford to send tanks. So Zelensky gets caught in another lie surrounding a missile strike. I believe this is the third time he's been caught red-handed. The Zelensky haters are growing as our serial liar is continually exposed. The advisor to Ukraine's presidential office stepped down over his comments on what was said to be a deadly Russian airstrike, but it seems we're finding out that major incident with the hotel being struck was due to Ukrainian air defenses. On another front, of course, our actor was the headliner at the World Economic Forum. There certainly isn't any event that's on a global stage that Zelensky doesn't show up. Our hero took the reins out in Davos and begged for money as usual. Zelensky said that the helicopter crash that killed 14 people, including the top leadership in Ukraine's interior ministry, wasn't just an accident. This is very interesting as we are hearing that likely that Zelensky was preparing to do some house cleaning. So this is interesting that Bill Gates decided to pass on attending the World Economic Forum this year. Seems like he's trying to give his public image another makeover. He found out the hard way that just paying all the news networks wasn't going to be nearly enough. Speaking of Bill, it seems he's now got his hands in this chat bot as well. We'll look into this a bit further as this AI tool is gaining a lot of attention and is super powerful. So the Guardian put together some interesting headlines coming out of this World Economic Forum. Two of the three are actually good news. The first is that Zelensky, once again, used the forum to lobby for more weapons. This time, it's a call for more tanks. Then some good news is it sounds like Schwab gets called out for being a total failure. He's been in charge of this forum since the 70s, and look at the mess that we're in. Next, they have a piece on the fossil fuel industry getting called out by the UN for putting us on track for the death of civilization. Another thing to come out of the World Economic Forum is that it appears that our buddy Schwab is attempting to implement a World Economic Forum metaverse that will be policed by this Interpol organization. Note its origins and look at how it's done such a great job with its stated goals. So you got to think that it's just a cover for something else. So we have this Schwab trying to lock us into this new digital police state. Well, certainly seems like things are accelerating at an astronomical pace here as we fight for our souls. So we are seeing that Microsoft is laying off 10,000 employees. Wow, this really triggered the fact that this is the third tech company that has laid off that same number of employees. First Facebook, then Amazon, and now Microsoft. Three digital empires, all with the same exact number of people laid off. So I had to look up the significance of that number, and look here, it certainly is significant. So I listened to this meeting at the World Economic Forum, which was an interesting group that was assembled. 4 EU countries that seemed to be the pitchfork for the Zelensky regime. So we had Macedonia, and then we had Poland, who was very proud to be in lockstep with what the Z-Man tells them to do. And then we had Spain, who's been really kind of quiet in the media. Their representative wanted to control the whole global narrative. He said the global south wasn't really falling in line with the whole idea that this was all Russia's war. And then we had Lithuania, who basically was saying that weapons equals peace. Apparently they sent in all of their stingers into the war. The last person they had on this panel was Belarusian exiled opposition leader. She really was puppeteering the globalist rhetoric. So the Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, said that the U.S. is attempting a final solution for Russians. The final solution was a certain leader from World War II's blueprint. So the Kremlin says that a U.S.-Russian spy chief meeting would make sense at this point. So this is an interesting thing to note. Recall that the U.S. is a bit divided. Could this be a secret Hogan's Heroes operation underway? I believe it could be. So the Russian defense chief added the president of the Russian Federation decided to build up the armed forces to 1.5 million troops. Note that this number, 1.5 million active duty, will catapult Russia into second place as far as manpower. That would move them past the United States and India. So out in the U.S., Elon Musk had been very quiet until today. He came out with some interesting tweets out there on Twitter. Donald Trump is reportedly preparing to come back to Twitter and Facebook after being reinstated. Musk's reply to that was, "This will be interesting to see how the Biden administration reacts to this. They may try to weaponize federal agencies against Twitter." And then finally, Musk put out another poll out there, and this was the World Economic Forum should control the world, yes, no? And this was, of course, a landslide, as a whopping 86% believe that they should not. Thanks again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and pound that like button. There's going to be a lot more coming. We're just getting started.